Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Reservoir Red Dogs, the Nottingham Forest podcast. I'm Matt Ford and I'm still buzzing from the 4-0 thrashing of QPR the other weekend.
Over comes the laptop. What have we got here then? Paul. I'm Paul McGregor and I'm still buzzing from Oh, come on, mate. You've played on that. I've got naturally beautiful hair, piercing eyes and a smile which says, come on in for a cup of tea. But enough about how amazing I am. Matt, who's on the show today? Well, that's not fair, is it?
What do you mean that's not fair?
Well, you get to write that.
I mean, there's almost no point having these introductory scripts.
I think, unless you email them to me and I'll rehearse it, but everyone will know.
But everyone will know what?
That I'm reading your script.
It's just professionalism,
It's
man.
not what people want, is it?
You could write it next week.
Oh, yeah, can I?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
As always, we are guided by the all-powerful, omnipotent producer that is Johnny Owen. He is in a gallery somewhere at the studio. Johnny, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Johnny.
Morning, Johnny.
You sound a little bit down there, mate.
How you doing, boys? You all right?
That's more like it. There he goes. In a change to our advertised guest, I'm delighted and giddy to announce that today we are joined by one of Forest's all-time heroes, the man who put the ball in the Scousers' net, Mr. Colin Barrett.
Birtles cuts through on his own. The pace and confidence to do it. Not a bad looking cross. Woodcock. And a superb goal from Barrett. That was as good as Forest are likely to get all season.
Colin,
Morning.
welcome to the show.
Morning, Carl. Morning.
Now, we're all a little bit hungry. We have got bacon sandwiches arriving at some point during the show, Colin, so...
True athlete's meal, that is.
Was
Well,
that
mine's vegetarian, so I am an athlete.
You're still sort of fighting the good fight.
I really am, yeah.
He just runs out of steam after about 80 minutes.
I only have to come on for 10, so I'm all right.
But a bacon sandwich, was that the sort of thing you'd have back in your playing days?
Oh, yeah. My mother used to give me a bacon sandwich every day.
In terms of dietary, was there any sort of guidance? Would they say, look, don't have a plate of chips at half-time?
No. Well, it's the classic line. I mean, the classic line with Cloughie was, if it makes you play better, have what you want. That's the bottom line of it. And so long as you're doing everything all right from 3 till 20 to 5 on a Saturday afternoon, nobody cares.
Well, we talked last week. We had Steve Chettle in here last week,
Right.
and he talked about these McDonald's, basically gold cards that Macca and some of the others had. And we had an email about this. So I said, all right, guys, loving the podcast so far. Great listening to ex-player stories about what it was like back in the day. I used to work at Mackey's on Trent Bridge around 1999-2000, and Forest lads were always in there. Reedy, Shock, Genus, Harewood, Dawson were always coming through drive-through 2 or 3 times a week. One day, Des Walker came into the store with his family, ordered whatever it was. The girl serving him had no idea who he was and said anything else, at which point he looked around the restaurant and said, what does everyone want? And bought everyone in McDonald's whatever they wanted. Everyone in the queue and whoever was already sat down got whatever they wanted. Came to 150 quid. Funny thing was, as I remember, I don't think the big man had anything himself. What a hero. Andy Beardsley.
Wow.
Walker just going in there, buying everyone a Mackie D's.
That wouldn't happen in my day. Well, we didn't have a McDonald's for starters.
No, that's right.
We just went round to Bill's Calf round the corner, had chip cobs every day. So that was all right for us.
We've had an email. We've had a lot of emails in from people who listen to the show. Well, I'll tell you what. You read this one out, Paul, because it is about you.
Oh, good grief!
He's stitching me up again.
I'm not. This is genuine, and there's a picture that they put on the email as well. But you'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay. Around 96, back when I was a student, I would spend most Tuesday nights in the Rig Club next to Rock City. Come on. It was always empty for the first few hours with the same regular faces, so it didn't really take much to get yourself noticed, whether you wanted to or not. Okay. One week, my eyes popped out of my head. Holding court at the bar was my favourite Forest player at the time, Paul McGregor. This is Tuesday night, that's all right. I was just looking back in case Frank Clark comes on and gives me a roasted. As I mentioned, it would have been hard to miss him, especially as he positioned himself at the bar directly facing the entrance. You couldn't have walked in without seeing him and his small but beautifully formed entourage. You've written this, surely.
I'm not, I swear to God.
But Paul was a star, the self-proclaimed Kurt Cobain of Nottingham. I said that last week. That's not going to go away. I don't remember it being particularly cold that night, so his choice of headwear was, I'm assuming, more fashion-led than practical. I know what this was. It was best described as a large, purple, hairy dome.
Does that...
I'm not going to say anything, mate, honestly.
Okay. The sort that Fred Flintstone wears when down the water buffalo. Wilma! Only his Barney Rubble equivalents weren't joining in. They'll love that. I must have had a couple of drinks as I decided to approach Paul and ask for his hat, to which he very politely said no. I didn't take no for an answer, and for what must have felt like 10 minutes to Paul, literally begged for his hat. Don't get me wrong, his hat was effing awful, but it belonged to Paul, and that was all that mattered to me. Then after finally taking no for an answer, I moved on to asking for his watch or anything I could have as a memento. I sobered up a little and moved on after realising what a beep I was being. Thanks for humouring me that evening and being such a nice guy. Paul Smith hat, that thing.
So you do remember the hat?
I remember the hat very fondly.
So the way he's described it, it's almost like a, like the sort they wear at Horse Guards Parade.
No, it was one. What's the ones with the flaps? Is that a Deerstalker?
Yes, it is.
It was an electric blue Paul Smith fluffy Deerstalker.
Are you wearing that
Name
indoors?
dropping, always name dropping.
Yeah. It's the 90s.
Did you have any sort of garish fashion accessories when you were a player, Cole?
No.
What were
Don't
your
think so.
extravagances?
I didn't have any really. I wasn't, out there,
But, apart from chip cobs, what were you spending your money on?
Didn't have much money. Just had to pay the mortgage like everybody else and go home like everybody else and do all the right things, which I thought were the right things.
You must have treated yourself. After you scored against Liverpool, you must have thought, you know what, I'll get myself a new pair of shoes or a telly.
No, nothing flash, nothing. I was a very practical young man, really. Although I did have a black Capri.
There it is.
Somewhere, didn't we? We knew that would be somewhere.
Absolute geezer, the geezer's car. Oh, did it have your name on the side of it?
No. I had Go Faster stripes on, so it was all right.
Oh, very
Did you
cool.
have pull ball gear stick?
No.
So what car did you get when you were at Forest? Oh. I can't wait to hear this.
Oh, no. So, yeah, the first one I got. See, all the lads at the time were buying Range Rovers, big Jeeps. It was when the Jeep came out. So I got a bright yellow Vitara convertible.
Suzuki.
It was disgusting.
It sounds disgusting.
And then I moved on to when I signed my contract, I got the big black Vitara, the better ones. What are they called? Anyway, really awful, dreadful Jeeps. So it was really embarrassing. Then I got a more sensible Colin car, I got a nice Renault after that.
Oh, lovely. Very sensible. Did it have a CD player?
RS, it did, yeah. RSI, French thing. Still convertible.
Just if a footballer drove a car, it immediately made the car cool. But not a Vitara.
Not a Vitara, no.
So, Cole, you were at Manchester City before you came to Forest.
Yep.
And played in that incredible game where Manchester United were relegated.
Yeah.
I mean, a Manchester derby, when United get relegated, is a rare thing for City to sort of have the whip hand over them. What do you remember about that day?
Oh, a special day that was, because I think Manchester United were on the verge of going down anyway.
Yeah.
And obviously, last game of the season, we eventually got a goal in about, it must have been 80th minute, something like that. Dennis backheeled it in the net, and then he walked off. Just walked off the park, never kicked to another football again. And that was the last anybody saw of Dennis Law. Manchester United should never have got rid of Dennis Law because he was the king, basically.
Yes. How did Forest differ at the time to what Man City was like at the time?
Man City were in the old First Division. Man City had it's the Playboys, era. He talks about it was a Playboy era. We had Rodney Marsh in it, Franny Lee, Mike Solby, Colin Bell, all those players in the side,
What a side.
And then you're in that amongst these superstars, and then you come to Forest where you start to say, right, this is more bread and butter. I know that sounds, but it is because you're dropping down the league.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to go down, and you got to say to yourself, look, I'm getting involved here.
So did you almost see it as a backward step?
No, I saw it as a step going forward, in as much as that I hope to play in the first team.
Yeah.
But like in all football, there should be no guarantees you get first team football. And that was the case at Forest. When I came, I got in the side, then eventually I was out of the side, then I was in the side, and out and in, and then halfway through it, I thought, I'm going again here. I'm going to have to ask for a move here because it's not happening. But luckily for me, Clarkey got injured and I went out left back, and then everything happened pretty good for 3 years. I had a nickname.
What was it?
Well, he called me Busy. And actually, I don't really can say this. He called me Busy basically, because I wouldn't take no for an answer, basically, and I'd give as good as I get, and I want to know what was going on, and he say, "Out busy." You know? what are your thoughts on this? And so that stuck for a while. And I'm not told that for a long, long time, by the way. So
well, we're honoured that it's been told on this show. So Cluffy would call you busy.
Yep. Yeah.
There's no getting around that, is there?
No.
And would he shout that across the sort of training pitch?
Yeah. It was it echoed around the stand a few times, but nobody cottoned on.
And what, in terms of your relationship with him, was it complex or was it fairly direct?
Very, very direct for me. He said, "This is the way it is. You've got the football at your feet. All you've got to do is get hold of it and pass it." He just said, "I don't expect you to do anything you can't do. All I'm expecting you to do is win the ball when you can, stop the cross, and then after that, you get the football and the classic line, give it the fat on the wing."
So in terms of relationships, who were your sort of best mates in that squad when you were at Forest?
Well, we're all good mates. You know, Clarkey was maybe my best mate because he started the Bill's Calf and then I went along with him to Bill's Calf, and then it went from there to the Pepper Mill in Nottingham, and then to Uriah Heaps, the wine bar. So as we've gone on through our success, you could see our spending habits. Our spending habits went from Bill's Calf to the Pepper Mill, which is a little fancy, coffee bar in town, to Uriah Heaps, which was a wine bar where we had some sessions on a Monday afternoon.
Monday morning?
Well, yeah, Monday morning. Finished training at 11:30. You'd be in the wine bar by 12:30.
The wine bar?
Yeah,
it's very middle class.
We'd be hitting it then, and you think to yourself, "Oh God, this is crazy."
Tuesday off.
Beautiful.
Yeah. They were the days.
I mean, I'm sure Cluffy must have known what was happening, because if it had been detrimental to a Saturday afternoon, then I think it would have stopped somewhere along the line. But having said that, we were professional and we knew our limits to some degree. But it's like everything. Once you start going, you just carry on. Well, go on. We'll just have one more. Let's just have one more. So Mondays was a good night because you call it male bonding, team bonding, or whatever. But we're all in it.
Now, we've had an email here, and this is interesting when you hear the guy's name. He said, "Hello, here's my story from when I was a ball boy against West Ham. It must have been around 1998, so I was 6 or 7 at the time. West Ham had Ian Wright, Rio Ferdinand, Di Canio, John Hartson, Shaka Hislop, Trevor Sinclair, Neil Ruddock and Lampard. Being named after 2 Forest legends, Roy Keane and Stuart Pearce. This guy's name is Keane Pearce. Surname is Shaw. Keane Pearce Shaw.
Poor kid.
That's amazing, isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, it happens, doesn't it?
Did you ever have any children named after you, Colin?
No. Nobody wants the name Colin, do they? You very rarely hear that. No.
Well, there's Colin Slater. There's
Colin,
there are lots of Collins.
That's before me.
Colin Foster. Colin.
You don't hear it on the morning run, the school run in the morning, do you?
Colin.
Yeah. You don't hear many Ians either, do you?
Colin Farrell.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, we're aware of the concept, Matt. There are other Collins. We know that, but we're not many. It's a modern Colin.
It's not like Jack.
No,
Yeah, that endures through the eras, doesn't it? Matt's a good name, Paul.
Solid.
Were any children in the Nottingham area named after you, do you know, during your period at the
Be
club?
careful now.
What, Paul? Not named
Maybe
after me
Mac or
specifically.
McGregor. There could have been Keane
Like
Pearce.
McGregor Phillips. I really don't think so.
If you are named after a Forest player, get in touch and let us know. Email us rrd1865@outlook.com or tweet us at rrd1865. Are you on Twitter, Colin?
No.
Do you do any sort of social media?
No. Don't
You
do
knew the answer to that before you asked
Well, I
me.
wasn't sure.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't get it, to be honest. I don't get it. I know it's a young people's thing, but I just, why do I need to know what people are doing? I've had my breakfast, I'm sitting down. Why do I know that?
I'm with you, Colin. I'm not either.
Why do I need to know that?
Well, it's not just that, is it? You can find out news. You can connect with people, global communities.
If I could find out things I may not want to know.
Well, yeah, that is the downside. But you're not on any of it. There's no Snapchat or
No.
I was just thinking because what would be? I tell you what, the benefit of it would be was that loads of fans would get in touch with you.
Yeah.
And they would send you news clippings and videos and stuff like that.
Right.
You'd wake up to messages just telling you how great you are.
And
There won't
the
be many of
opposite
them.
that as well.
There won't be many of them.
Oh, I think you'd be surprised.
Well,
You on email?
I'm in email, yeah.
Got a mobile phone?
Got a mobile phone, yeah. So that's it.
Still got the Capri?
No. That went. I traded that in for a BMW.
Oh,
so there you go. No.
lovely.
And then
Lovely.
And then when we won the league, we never got a penny for winning the league because we never even thought that we'd get that way.
So there's no bonus at all?
No bonus for winning the league. So the next year, they had the opportunity to have these company cars, basically.
Yes.
So we had the Celicas, Toyota Celicas.
Yes.
So they were all in. And all you wanted to be one of the 16 that got a Toyota Celica. And I think I was 14th or 15th when I got mine. So I thought, well, thank goodness I'm here for another year, basically, because I got this Toyota Celica.
Broken if you missed out on that, aren't you?
Oh, it's like being blackballed, isn't it, in a Masonic Lodge?
Yeah.
Not getting a car.
I wouldn't know, man.
No, nor would I. You have a very special relationship with the fans now, Colin. There's Colin Barrett Day, and a few of us were there at QPR away at the end of last season where we commandeered a pub, and you were greeted like a returning king.
Yeah.
It was really, really special to be there for it.
I mean, I've got an awful lot to thank Johnny Owen for, to be perfectly honest. When he did the film, obviously we all got ourselves back in, the City ground, and got us back on the radar, if you like. And then because of Forza Garibaldi, they asked me through Johnny to go to a few do's. And I said, yeah, I've got no problem. And we went to a few do's. So now they've adopted me as their commander-in-chief, as Johnny puts it. I'm ever so grateful for them. And they put this day on at QPR, and I thought, I'll go along. It's brilliant.
It was a great day out there,
It was a great day.
Out in a beer garden, flags everywhere, Forest kits, Colin Barrett in the middle of it, conducting it all.
Brilliant.
It's a special day for people, that.
A brilliant day for me, and I thank him very much for doing that. But they tell me it's set in stone now, so I don't know what's going to happen this year.
You've got to do it again.
Oh, definitely. Only trouble is I've got a family who want to come on it now, so I've got about 500 of my family want to come on.
We're going to do fan on the phone now. So, Jits, as you know, being a fan of the podcast, every week we talk to a different Forest fan about their memories and their association with the club. Can you remember your first game?
I can, yeah. It was 1973. We played Bolton at home, and I think we won. And I was about 8.5.
And what stand were you in?
I was in the old Bridgeford stand.
In the old
Cop end. In the old Cop end, yeah. And went to that game, and that was the season we had an excellent cup run. So after that, I went to the Man City game. That was my second game. The Man City Sunday Cup game, and after that I was just mesmerised. And
then what are your favourite memories of Forest?
I was fortunate. I sort of started supporting Forest around the time when Brian Clough came into play. So my early childhood memories are all of the Miracle team, but my best memories are of the second wave. The Cloughy second team, the regular trips to Wembley, and all that palaver, and all the away games, and the Tottenham Cup game, the Bristol City Cup game, Man United in the FA Cup. Brilliant memories.
What are your memories of Paul McGregor?
The obvious one, Leon.
He says obvious, he means only.
I'm sorry, that's it, I'm afraid.
Well, there's the Man United goal as well, Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, come on, you're embarrassing me. That'll do.
What about your memories of Colin Barrett, Jits?
Absolute legend. I've been fortunate enough to meet him the last few days, last few weeks, and the guy is exactly what it says on the tin, a genuine person.
Thanks,
brilliant.
Jess. One of the few who say that, mate. Well, thanks a lot. By the way, I played in that Man City game where you were, the cup game.
I remember how poor you were, Colin.
I got blamed for all 4 goals. When Duncan McKenzie went down the line, Nutmeg Mike Doyle, Nutmeg Willie Donachie, Tommy Booth, and I was the next one, and he just passed it to Bomber, and Bomber stuck it in the back of the net, and I got blamed for all 4 goals of an evening post.
I tell you what, Duncan was on fire, wasn't he, that day?
It was a bit of a special, but it was an unusual thing because it was a Sunday afternoon, 2:00 kick-off because of the the strike. Everything was on strike then.
Yeah. Well, it was that crowded. It was that many crowded. They actually let us sit on in front of the pitch on the grass.
Yeah.
In the Cobb. So it was amazing.
Yeah.
But how do you feel now about Forest? Because we don't talk too much about the contemporary on this show, but at the moment there's a lot of optimism around.
Do you know what, Matt? It's absolutely brilliant. It's a breath of fresh air. It's superb. I'm so proud again to be a Forest fan.
Hearing that a lot, aren't we?
After all these years of sort of shaking your head and walking past people, I'm actually proud now. we're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing in the community. We're doing the right thing on the pitch. Rebuilding on and off it. I'm very excited for the future.
So what's also very exciting, Jits, so you mentioned that second wave. The club shop have done like a reissue of the 1990, well, both 89-90 League Cup final shirts.
I'm not one for replica shirts, man. They never fit me. They always look dead tight on me.
Yeah, but then just buy the right size. No different to any other item of clothing. If you get the size right, Jits, it will fit.
They run out of the X's.
Oh, there's not enough X's, put it that way.
Jits, it's always a pleasure, mate.
Absolutely. Have a great day, fellas, yeah?
Cheers, mate.
Thanks a lot, mate. Bye-bye.
We've got one of those shirts to give away. Oh. We've got one of those shirts to give away. And we're going to run a competition. And we're going to run it in the iTunes review. So leave us an iTunes review, but within your review, tell us a Nottingham Forest joke. It could be an old classic that your dad used to tell. It could be one that you've written yourself. We will choose the best three. Paul McGregor will choose the funniest on the next show, and the winner will get a brand new replica of that 1989-1990 Littlewoods Cup final
I'm looking
shirt.
forward to that already.
So be creative or get an old one or whatever, but whichever one Paul McGregor thinks is the funniest will be victorious. It's time now for Trick or Tree. This is part of the show,
right.
Connor West. Basically true or false, but Trick or Tree.
Well, it needs to be harder than last week, because last week was ridiculous.
So last week's was Bert Badger, who did play for Forest,
Colin's
I think,
face.
1909.
There you go.
I had some cockamamie
Did I
story
play in
about
that
it.
game?
65% of people on Twitter said it was Trick. 35% said it was
No.
Trick. 35% of people thought it was
Hang
true.
your heads in shame.
I can reveal that it was a trick. Bert Badger did play for Forest, but he never lived under a hedge or had TB, as far as we know. So this week's Trick or Tree is Andre Salenzi. One of the most notorious signings in Forest history was Andre Salenzi, the first Italian international to play in the Premier League. He arrived with high expectations, but only scored twice. His dismal spell at Forest has baffled experts and novices alike, but a compelling new theory may hold the key as to why Salenzi was, in the words of one supporter, even worse to watch than Rise of the Foot Soldier 3, the Pat Tate story. Salenzi is a Protestant who belongs to the Seventh-day Adventists, a notorious sect known for their distinct views, including a rejection of hell as a concept, believing that evil people simply are destroyed at death, that the second coming of Christ will be followed by a millennial reign of the saints in heaven, and crucially for Forest fans, they believe in the observance of the Sabbath on a Saturday. That's right, Salenzi's guiding belief, his internal code was clear. Saturdays are not for work. This put him on a collision course with his chosen career, which involves playing football predominantly on a Saturday. He therefore did as little work as possible, so to observe the Saturday Sabbath as much as he could. Salenzi wasn't actually a bad footballer, he was simply trying to avoid being a sinner and face certain destruction at death. Many Forest fans will also ask the question of whether he was observing the Sabbath on Wednesday nights as well. So there you go, is that Trick or Tree? Is Andre Salenzi a part of a religious sect called the Seventh-day Adventists who believe that the Sabbath should be observed on a Saturday?
You know, he was lovely, Andy.
Was he?
He was a really nice guy. I think that's true, by the way.
Do you think
Yeah,
that's
I do
Tree?
I think that's Trick.
Tree.
Tree, sorry.
Do you think that's
Trick.
You think that's made up?
Yeah.
I roomed with him once.
Yeah.
And it was away in I think it was some FA Cup game. And it was somewhere dreadful. It was a Holiday Inn in Rotherham, for example. It was somewhere like this. And we were sat on the end of the
Did you
bed.
get breakfast?
Yeah, all the
Okay,
time,
well, it's not that bad,
definitely. So it wasn't that bad. So we sat on the end of the bed in this proper Alan Partridge hotel. Just
It's
sat
a
there.
travel tavern.
And we not long arrived and we sat there. The TV's on. He's on the end of the bed. I'm on the end of my bed. And we're just watching it. And he was just staring off into the middle distance. And I went, "You all right, mate?" And he went, "Macca." I'm not going to do the accent.
Oh, go on, try.
No, it'd be really racist. It'd be dreadful.
No, you're really good at impressions.
Uh,
Hey, come on, the Mac.
Macca, here I am, Rotherham, sat on the bed with you. No disrespect. I play with Maradona. I play here. I was top scorer in Italy, and just rattled off all these names like Maradona and whoever else. And he went, "No." Looks around the room. Are you here? I'm. And he was broke, and I looked at him, and I was, I just thought, I really feel for you, mate.
Oh, the poor guy.
He came to the club like all singing, all dancing, didn't he? You know, he was top scorer in Serie A, I think it was.
Yeah,
or
why didn't it work
played
for him
with
at
Maradona.
Forest? Why didn't it work at Forest?
I think we've answered the question there, why he failed. You know, he came to a different environment, in a different league, different everything. And he's been a superstar in Italy for a while.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden he's come down to Forest and he's in a hotel room in Rotherham with Paul McGregor.
Yeah. I mean,
So wouldn't you be depressed?
I wanted to give him a cuddle, but
I
we were
love
both in our
Rotherham.
pants. So
I think
thought
Rotherham's okay, but Paul McGregor in a hotel room.
Yeah, you don't. No one wants that.
And listening to his music? Oh, no.
Come on.
No.
That would have been a saving grace.
Was he good in training? Did he possess great skill?
I just think the game didn't suit him. None of the training suited him. It just didn't work. In training, you know, you don't just stop being a good player. So every now and again, you get the ball and smash one from 30. Everyone will be like, "Can you do that on a Saturday?" Or like, you know, he's big, strong lad. He'd hold the ball up really well. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to be. I don't want to say anything.
Who actually signed him?
disparaging.
Frank Clark.
Clarkey. So is he the one that Clarkey signed off a video?
Oh, who was that?
What was he, a backing dancer in George
Well, it could
Michael?
well have been. I'm on it. Sorry,
that's
Frank,
on
if
the
I've
tip
let you
of my
down, mate.
tongue. That's on the tip of my tongue. Who was it? Johnny, do you know who this was?
Yeah, it was the guy you're talking about.
Oh, was it? It was Andrew Salenzi. Well remembered.
Brilliant.
Paul, you got to do Frank Clark now. Watching the video and signing him.
I'm not. Just one.
God, can you do Clarkey?
one impression? I can't because
He does Clarkey amazing.
no, I've got so much respect for him. When you know, he's my gaffer. When
It's
I
the
see him, he's the
highest form
gaffer. I
of
can't.
flattery to impersonate someone. It's a.
Well, I'm not going to impersonate Frank. Disgrace. I'm so sorry, boss.
Yeah, you want to be and all.
Cole's would be better than mine.
No,
Best
I
mate.
can't do Frank.
How hard is it when you get you're at a club like Forest and you get an international player? So I'm thinking of that era, Macca, Lars Bohinen, Andre Salenzi, Alf-Inge Haaland. How much of an effort do the other players make to make these people feel at home and sort of make them feel less homesick?
I don't think anyone cares. I just think they come in and homesick isn't really something you keep in mind. I think they come in and if they're good lads, they integrate. And you know, we used to go up to Ginzer's quite a lot as a group. And
Where?
Ginzer's restaurant
Where's that?
on the way out towards I can't remember the name of the road. Forest Fields that way, up on the hill on the way out, up over near Goose Fair.
I don't know it.
Mansfield
It
Road.
was a Japanese place where they used to one of those
lovely.
places where the big hot plate they'd throw all the
Yeah.
stuff around. Yeah. So we'd all go there. And I remember Loz starting to come, and you just.
I think
put
like when he wanted to change the attitude in the dressing room by doing stretches after the game and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, he was incredibly professional, and like
Yeah,
he would
he
stay on the
was
pitch out on the training
Warm
ground
down, warm
afterwards doing
downs. He
keep
went
ups,
warm downs.
warm
you know.
downs. That's right. Yeah,
When they used to do warm downs, and I think no English footballer had ever heard of a warm down.
he was phenomenal, Loz.
And I think he's the one that started that.
So it wasn't like at school when, someone joins like halfway through the school year and they say, right, you've got to make these people feel at home now. The club don't say, Paul, look, we've got this new international footballer coming. Can you
Take him to Rotherham to a Holiday Inn.
Yeah, sit there in your pants
listen
and
to my
see what
music.
happens.
Listen to my music in Rotherham.
Yeah.
You don't have time. You don't have time to worry about somebody else's position. You know, yes, you make them welcome. You only make them welcome if they're not after your position.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, you don't. You know, if they're coming in to replace you, you make their life hell, basically, or as hell as you can be.
But when you say that, are we talking about just being your best to keep them out, or are we talking about stalking? Are we talking about death threats?
We're just saying, hold on a minute. He's bought him for a reason. He's bought him to either replace me. So you've got to say to yourself, well, I've got to up my game.
Yeah.
You know, the Dave Needham, Larry Lloyd scenario in my day. Needers came in when Larry got injured, and I guarantee you that made Larry Lloyd up his game when he came back from being injured.
But you're not trying to. You wouldn't be nasty to them. You wouldn't pass.
No,
them in the
you
corridor
wouldn't be
and go,
nasty
"Listen
to
here,
him, you know. But I have to say that you've got enough on your plate surviving.
Yeah.
So if he can't handle, you've got to handle a dressing room. You have to go in there and you've got to handle a dressing room. And you soon learn who are the ones to, you think you can side with. You soon learn that. On the other side of the coin is you've got to realise that, hold on, I'm on my own here. And I've got to get into their way of thinking, into their life. And eventually, you'll do that quite easily if you perform on a Saturday afternoon.
Even though we've left it till last, number one is Brian Rice.
And number 2 is Brian Rice. And number 3 is Brian Rice. And number 4.
Now, usually we discuss old chants, but we've been ending with a sing-along, and we thought the best way to end, because you've been a super sub today, Colin. You've come off the bench at the last minute for Andy Reid, who sadly couldn't be here, and we're very appreciative. Right. So we thought we'd send you off in the only way that it's appropriate to send Colin Barrett off.
Who put the ball in the Scousers' net? Who put the ball in the Scousers' net? Who put the ball in the Scousers' net? Super Colin Barrett. Super. Super Col, super Col, super Col, super Colin Barrett.
Thanks, lads. Yeah, much appreciated. Now go back to your day jobs.
This is my day job.
You never tell.